Nanometer is an FL Studio MIDI script for the Korg NanoControl 2 MIDI controller. I'm very happy that there are people actually using this, so I decided to continue developing it. Let's go over the new features in version 1.3. Multi-track control. The script can now control multiple tracks simultaneously. First, we need to select more than one track in the mixer. This can be done by holding Shift plus Control and clicking on the desired tracks in the mixer, or by enabling the multi-select option in the Nanometer config and pressing the R buttons. When the selection is done, move any slider on the NanoControl 2. As you can see, the volume on all the selected tracks are now linked to just one slider. One thing to keep in mind when controlling the volume of multiple tracks is that the position of the faders will not be synced with the position of the physical slider or use pickup mode. If you try to move a slider on the NanoControl 2 that is already near its end position, you won't be able to move it any further. Instead, you can either use another slider or move the slider all the way in the opposite direction and then back again. Preserve mix diff. Normally, you can raise the volume of all the tracks to 5.6 decibel. But what if you have balanced the difference between the tracks very carefully and you don't want the relative volume to change? Ideally, it would be useful if the faders of the selected tracks would stop as soon as one of them reach 5.6 decibel. That's exactly what Preserve Mix Diff does. Just hold the Set Marker button while you move the slider. It will stop moving when it detects that one of the tracks reached 5.6 decibel. Okay, next new feature is volume fine-tuning. Hold the Set Marker button and press the Track Left or Track Right buttons to change the volume of the selected track in increments of 1/10 of a decibel. If you keep the buttons pressed, it will keep adding or subtracting volume until you release the buttons. This works on multiple tracks as well. There's a new config option called Range Rec Timer. It adds a timer that hides the red rectangle marking the mixer tracks controlled by the script. If we set this to 3 seconds and reload the script, the red rectangle will be turned off after 3 seconds. It reappears every time you press a button or move one of the controls. But as soon as the controls become idle, the rectangle will disappear again after 3 seconds. By default, this will be set to 0, which means that the rectangle is always on. Next is another config option called Blink Full Tempo. Since last version of the script, the play button will flash in sync with the tempo. The flashes are synced to half tempo. This new option lets you change the flashing speed to full tempo if you want. Mode switch lights. Every time you switch mode with the cycle button, the script shows this by displaying the name of the current mode in the hint panel. This is very easy to miss, so I decided to add an extra visual effect to the transport buttons on the NanoControl 2. When you switch mode in version 1.3, the transport buttons will light up from left to right, one for each mode, until you're back at the first mode. I also added a new config option called Mode Blink that can be set to disable the flashing effect in case you don't want it. Support for multiple units. This version of the script adds support for up to 4 Nanocontrol 2 units simultaneously. It's a bit experimental, but it's confirmed to work with at least 2 units connected at the same time. One caveat is that this does not work out of the box, so for those who don't like to fiddle with settings, I strongly advise against using this feature, as it requires some work to set up properly. If you don't mind diving headfirst into the settings, however, I made a guide on the wiki page that details all the steps needed to set up the extra unit. Please show your support for further development of the Nanometer script by buying me a cup of coffee. The link is in the video description. Thanks for watching.